Good evening, everybody, and welcome to TOGA Motorsport. We're just waiting for the timer to count down on the end of free practice before we get qualifying underway for what is going to be a one-off event tonight, which is a 90 minutes of Silverstone. Nice, easy one. It is for 1 to 2 drivers with a mandatory full service at some point in the race. So it's a nice straightforward one, nice easy, chill round tonight. One-off event. We've got a reasonable mix of cars, as you can see by the board. Audi from Gray has top timing sheets at the end of the end of free practice there, banging in a 1:59.592. So that's going to be an interesting one to see how they get on with that one. There's still a couple of cars running around. Darrell out in McLaren just coming down to the end of a lap. Actually, wow, almost a second up. Oh, I can't quite finish it off.
Green light, give it okay.
And we are green for qualifying. Bear with me just a second. There we go. We are green for qualifying as everybody starts to roll on out. Ashton of Sullivan is out straight away. There we go. For 0 Point Racing, Ryan O'Sullivan in that Aston. The Audi, I believe it's the same team. John Gray for the same team, same livery, rather nice. Hopefully, livery should be good. I did sync everything about 10 minutes ago, having previously sunk it about an hour before that, just to make sure if there was any last minute changes that they could be put in, but if there was major amounts that I missed, that the system had missed, then they would have time to be added. So yeah, beginning qualifying, classic Silverstone circuit. Been through a lot of iterations this track. If we wait for the first few times to roll in. Yeah, been through a lot of iterations. It's a classic track, and it's a very historic track. Again, like a lot of them in the UK, it's actually an old airfield. And the infield section that we're moving into now actually was essentially one of the old runways. This Wellington Strait is named after the Wellington bombers that used to run out of here during the Second World War. So the long range heavy bombers flew out of there. The fighters had a tendency to fly out much closer to the coast because they didn't have the fuel capacity. There's a useless bit of history. I actually used to live near what would have been at the time Eastleigh Airport. It was the testing base for the Spitfire. Right, first few flying laps have been started. And my game's having a funny 5 minutes. I'm hoping the stream is still working. Please tell me it is. Yes, it is all still working, and that's good. Game volume is a little loud. Thank you for that one. I shall tweak that. Do that. There we go. Back to that. Good evening, Luke Sherlock, and that was Toga. I'm assuming that is Mr. H himself. Good evening to you on Twitch. So yes, that's the Toga one. A million screens open all at once. So, yeah, first flying laps going in. It's a short 10-minute quali session, so being that it's a tick under, it's on the bubble around 2 minutes a lap, you've got maybe 5 laps. Well, less than that, maybe 3 or 4 laps to get a time down around here. So it's not an easy one. We've got got a couple of Mustangs out there. Matt Howes, Blue Crew, Credit, Racing there, as well as the Ecuadorian PRGT Racing for Daniel Estares. In that one, a smattering of Porsches for Jack Deluge. Who is that one going for a wander? That's one of the Audis. There's a good number of Audis. And that is the first of the times for John Gray. It goes through 2 minutes, .217 with 5 minutes, just over 5.5 minutes remaining on the clock. So that's a good one. A good lap. First few laps are coming in thick and fast now. Ostrich, Adam Ostrich. Ostrich? Apologies, I'm going to be butchering that name well and truly. In the 416 BMW has gone 2 minutes 4:35. Pixel, Rick Pixel in another of the Porsches for zero. The Porsche for 0 point. They've got a good number of cars out there tonight. I think we've seen you in other events. If this is your first one with TOGA, welcome. Nice to see a strong showing from everybody. David's Quest team goes into... this is changing extremely fast. Fastest lap now is the McLaren of George Balinsk for Optimum Motorsport with a 58.995, so well under the 2 minutes there, so very well done. That's a big benchmark to have set. John Betton, Picture Pro Racing, is in second currently with a 59.155, so only 1.6 tenths down on the current pole sitter. Looking down through the list, Stein Donkerwalk, good afternoon, good evening to yourself. Currently sitting in fifth with a 2 minutes .315. How far back? Yeah, it's a bit of a split. I mean, Ryan O'Sullivan for 0 point in the Aston has just gone 59.090. So chasing down that sub 159 lap in that Aston and chasing it down hard. It closes the gap to under a tenth now to the leader, to the current pole sitter. Looking down, anybody on some big improvements? Stephen Shields, good one there. You are on for quite an improvement. You're about 3/4 and climbing up, 3/4 of a second and climbing up on your previous best. You are out onto the, I believe that might be now named Hamilton Straight. You're hovering around the 3/4 of a second mark, so doing well coming into this infield before. Infield pair of hairpins before running into up the Wellington and into the older section of the track around the top of the circuit. That's the set of pits that the GTs use, significantly cheaper than using the ones under the wing building. And it's known as the Heritage Pits up there, so that's where these cars will run in and out of for their pit stops rather than using the ones under the wing building. So, 2 seconds. You able? If you can do that, you've managed to claw almost 2 seconds watching you out of your time. If you can make this stick, just about holds onto it there with track limits. Goes 11th, 2 minutes .607. Well done. Top end of the field is doing extremely well. Who else can we shine some light on towards that? Mustang of Brad Bippo team of driven by Carlos Smich for BTR is currently 5 seconds up on their previous best, so let's see how well they can hang on to this one. Currently sitting 24th on the timing screens, so we shall see how this lap progresses. They're almost at the end. End of that one. 5 seconds, or should put them on about 2:03. So it will jump them a few places. Yeah, comes through the last couple of corners through there and across the line. Well, it jumps them up to 20th overall, and that puts them at 2 minutes, 2.156. Very well done. How are we doing at the top? It is all change at the top, and lap times are tumbling. I just flicked back to the top of the timing screen. 1:58.522 now is the current pole sitter for John Benton in Picture Pro Racing. That's not a top booster and a half. With fastest first sector there with a 34.930. O'Sullivan has the fastest second sector with a 49.972, and it's down in fourth for Corenzo. Antonio Corenzo has the fastest third sector in the Aston with a 33.457. So completely different cars, two different manufacturers producing lap times in three different places on the track. So you can see why this track has Kevin Queen, R-Pixel, you can do it. Where is Pixel? R-Pixel. No. There you are, in 8th in the Brick Pixel in the 0 Point Racing. That striking black and yellow colour scheme. Finishes qualifying there. That rounds out time. That 10 minutes just disappeared. Finishes up currently with a few left setting lap times. 59.485, which is good enough for 7th at this moment in time. Who else is out and on an improvement? 4/10. Ooh, this is hovering around the 4/10 mark. They are for George Balinsk for Optimum Motorsport. Previously was topping the timing sheets, isn't currently, but they are 4.473 back, and they are hovering around that currently. They're about 4/10, 4.5 tenths. They've lost a load. Ooh, no, they're slow in the middle of the corner, but they've got it gathered up for the exit. Still going. They're going to close in. They might take second. Does take second. 58.657 there from the McLaren for Giorgio there. Who else have we got out? You're 3/10 down and at the end of your lap. Number of people haven't set times. Obviously, first corner on this track, that was not the smartest place to have parked. And also, I'm not quite sure why you were that close to them. That was interesting. I don't believe this is a live stewarded event. I will just double check that there's nobody in the stewarding room. No, so this will all be post-race stewarded. So that will potentially go to the stewards after the race. We shall see what happens. So, yes, that was the end of qualifying, and that is how things stack up. So, current, our pole sitter after that was Benton with a 1:58.522 to put them in pole position. Very well done in the 987 Mercedes. That car doing very well here tonight. Giorgio Balinsk in car 114 McLaren goes second. O'Sullivan in the car 14 Aston Martin goes third. Corenzo 969 Aston Martin goes fourth. Gray goes fifth in the 87 Audi. Ostrich's, I apologise, I am butchering that name well and truly. I'm going to do that, and then I can do yes, in the 416 BMW. Pixel goes 7th in the 81 Porsche. 8th is Papavetis in the 412 McLaren. I am really struggling to read tonight. Steindonk Wonk in the car 51 Ferrari is 9th. Steiner is 10th in car 71 BMW. 71 BMW. Viz Gold. For Viz Gold is your team name. 333 McLaren in 11th. Michael Medina in the Pink Pig 85 Porsche. Stevens. I'm going to go with Stevens because I really have no idea how to pronounce that. It's German. In the AF Course 291 Ferrari. David Jakobowicz for Quest Team. Car 39 AMG. Jack Deloge for Great Magnet Racing. Car 24 Porsche. Franco Baccelli for BTR for in 16th in the 277 Aston Martin. Costas Bavodas Green Aliens in 888 McLaren. Vasilas Petres for Barwell Motorsport in the 133 Lamborghini. Nice to see one of those out there tonight. Alex Barncroft Turner for Modified Content UK. It's 417 McLaren. Carlo. I'm gonna have to give up on some of these surnames. I apologise. In car number 26 Ford in 20th. Christian for Modified Content UK in the 413 McLaren in 21st. 22nd is Zeet Kolb for Le Samurai Motorsport in car number 42 Audi. Daniel Estevez for Euro PRGT Racing in car number 29 Ford. Dania Maniello for TUZXC in the 69 McLaren. Patrick Didek, Amateur Racing Team in car number 19 BMW in 25th. Rally Deutsch in Mad Fox Sim Racing at 621 BMW. Daryl Longaname for McLaren Racing, car number 50 in 27th. Matt Howes, Bruce Cedric Racing by Ford in 885 Ford Mustang. Zane Blinsk, Modified Content UK, 418 BMW. Spaddy Budd for Mad Fox Sim Racing, car number 221 in 30th. And rounding out is Jaeger Crew Neon Mad Fox car 920 Porsche. So, apologies, my ability to read some of those names completely went out of the window. So everybody's now out on their formation lap, just rolling it through the first complex of corners out onto the hangar straight. Maggots, Beckett's, Chapel and Vale. Running out is the iconic tightening, long, lengthening set of chicanes that everybody seems to really enjoy. It's a real challenge to get right because you come into that section so fast. Even these GT3s, which are relatively high downforce, aren't that high of a downforce. They still have plenty. So going through turn 1 is maybe you scrub the brakes and drop a gear at most, and just lob it at the corner at turn 1, and then it's as soon as you dare get back on the power. Through there, down the hangar straight into... I can't remember the name of the corner here. And then you come up into Chapel? Apologies, I have completely lost all the names for all bits of the circuit. They were there on the end of my tongue, and they have just run away. Coming out onto, I believe it's the Hamilton Straight. This is where, in other forms of racing, you'll see more stop-go penalties than others if they are using this pit lane, because you cut off that sort of tight, slow section on the way into the pit. It's actually theoretically faster to go through the pit lane than it is to go around the track. So you will generally see more stop-goes from classes that are using the newer pit lane there, because of the distance and time you save, because the limit line isn't that early. When you enter the pit lane, it's actually not really until you get almost to the wall that the pit lane limit is there. So that's where you'll see that, because you can barrel down into that. Bit like the pit entrance at Zola, in that you can brake because you're aiming at a corner that's a lot later. It's quite easy to get tangled up with somebody who's braking for the last chicane and somebody who's just burying it into the pits and braking 20 or 30 metres later for that. So, coming up through the infield section, up the Wellington Straight to the last little complex. Question for the comments. Whilst we're going through this race, which is your preferred layout? This newer layout of Silverstone, or if you have driven it, the older bridge layout of the circuit? There's one for chat to get behind. Do, again, feel free to go like, subscribe, etc, etc. Do all the YouTube algorithmy things. It makes us feel warm and fuzzy. It also helps to keep the lights on here at TOGA, meaning we can bring you more events like this. So, everybody is 2x2. Getting ready to run into the first corner. I'm going to have a look down a couple of cars back. Again, it's quite a tight, quite a short run into this first corner, so lights will go green. And everybody... Oh, there's one car that's well back out of sequence there. There's one car starting from the pits. Excuse me, that is Halasova.
Green light. Go, go, go.
Didn't see them in qualifying, so that looks like they are a new joiner, but didn't join in time to do that. Looks like everybody so far has got through cleanly. There is a bit of a schmozzle further back. I'm not sure what that all is. Somebody dropping back in a Porsche. That is Turner Barncroft. No, it was Pax was in the Lambo that dropped back very hard there. Lots of changing of places, lots of things going on. Mid-pack, right in the middle there, it is absolute carnage. There is, median looks like they have dropped and lost out most of all through that lot in the Pink Pig Porsche there. Unfortunately, it looks like they were the big loser there. Have managed to gather it back up though and hang with the rest of the group. Looking for a bit of a way around the outside of that 39 Mercedes, but having to turn back into line. Porsche very good on the brakes there. Ooh, that's another Porsche with a lot of desyncy lagginess, and that's a McLaren that's just made contact with another McLaren and had a bit of a half spin there. Doesn't look like there's been too much harm done there. Up at the front, it is the Mercedes has managed to run away a little bit to the tune of almost a second already, with everybody battling behind. But the McLaren 114 of Giorgio for Optima Motorsport has managed to get up into second after that start. Really good start by them to get themselves up there in front of the Aston Martin of O'Sullivan. O'Sullivan is punching back, trying to get into this. It's a very long, very fast entry to that corner, so very tricky to get a move done unless you're completely alongside into there, but hanging on to the coattails and hanging on there nicely. Looking down, Karun for Neon Mad Fox is side by side with the McLaren of Christian Josef. There in the McLaren does manage to get that one worked out and through the exit of that section. Whew, there's a lot to look at. We've still got another hour, 27 minutes of this. Looks like Maniello, according to the time screen, has lost out to the 61 BMW there. And has got through and is away there. Just having a look down the time screen. What other... Ooh, that's a BMW having a visit to the scenery. I wouldn't recommend doing that. It's not a great idea. Looks like they have picked up a little bit of damage. So that's not going to help their time at all. We have Aston Martin in the pits already. That is Franco in the pits with a 277 Aston Martin in the pits. Turner Barncroft is also in the pits as well early on in this race. I think you'll be hard pushed to get to the end of this one without a massive amount of fuel saving. Looks like there has been... Ooh, there's a big schmozzle of cars here racing over the... And this is for 20th down to 24th. This is a hell of a battle. We've just dropped into the middle here. So this is... Car 920 is the one that is leading this group. And is kind of starting to possibly get a bit of a break on. Daryl is visiting some more scenery. I wouldn't recommend. I'm not sure how you got there. I am assuming the Porsche had something to do with it. That's not going to do your chances of improving your position a lot of good staying up there. Bit of damage on all those cars. That is Patrick there for amateur racing team recovering. Gaining a few spots there. We have... It looks like car 24 is kind of dropping back a little bit. Not doing reasonably well. How is that battle in the mid-pack doing? That is a Mustang with a big run on, but got a bit of a wiggle. Ooh, tries to tuck back under the rear wing and just gets out of shape. BMW gets out of shape on the exit. Can the Mustang do anything to capitalise on the lack of drive that the BMW has had? Yes, it can. That's a huge drive. Tries to go to the inside. BMW, I'm not sure even knew that Mustang was there. Going through there. My timing screen is doing all sorts of weird things. I'm assuming somebody has some lag issues. So, not quite managed it with that bit Mustang on BMW as of yet. So, having looked through, leader is not the top three. They're running away to Corenzo in the Antonio Corenzo in that 969 Aston Martin, doing nicely there to run away, but they are running away to the tune of 30 seconds. But this trio of cars are just stuck together. They are covered by less than a second coming out of the infield section there onto the Wellington Straight, under the bridge, and into this last section. It looks like the Aston might be the one there that's just struggling a little bit to hang on to that car in this early part of the race. The question is, who's got a car that's good on its tyres across stint though? It's going to be, assuming it's going to be around about 45 minutes, maybe an hour on for these cars before they make their pit stop. So those that are on a higher fuel and are a bit more of a tyre save now, so they can have fresher tyres at the end and do a shorter second stint. That will be seen, so we'll see how these cars progress over the course of the stint as the fuel burns off. Having said that, from Corenzo back, it is a bit of a battle going on with the Adam 416 BMW car is just starting to get on the back of the 969 Aston Martin there. Hovering around that. Corenzo is trying to get away. He's managing to get away to almost the tune of a second there. What else have we got going on further down? That's a McLaren in a very unfortunate spot. What happened to you? Now we've got to say a moment. This is coming out the last corner. We saw them in the grass on the inside of turn 2, turn 3. Battling with BMW. BMW tries to go alongside. BMW managed to get out the inside, just get them a little bit sideways, and that is game over there, unfortunately, for that McLaren, and dives back to the pits. Lego Dimensions. Remember Daryl. Let's go, Daryl. Remember, brake later, throttle earlier, and just drive fast. Nice. Thank you very much. So, yes, Daryl, if you're listening to the stream, remember to do everything you're normally doing and just go fast. Audi is kind of on its own a little bit. Donkerwalk has been There might be some lag related to that car as it's been pinging around and making the timing screen go a bit funky, so I'm not sure what's going on there. It looks like the Mercedes has pulled away a little bit now to the tune of around about a second to these two cars. It looks like the McLaren is starting to feel the pressure just a little bit from the Aston Martin in places. It's just having to possibly go a little bit defensive in a couple of places to cost both of them some time on the leader. So we'll keep an eye on the time screens on that one to see how that progresses. But yeah, at the moment the leader is pulling away. Although these cars behind pull up quite significantly through the first sector. They pull almost 3/10 out of the Mercedes in that first sector. So the fast twisties, not so great for that car. Is what it's looking like. It looks like it's pretty good through the rest of the lap as the Aston is through this mid sector 2. It is really aggressive up onto the rear, under the rear wing of the McLaren. So just jumping back to another battle that's going on, we have Michael Media in the pink pig chasing down Costas for the Green Aliens 888 McLaren in there. I keep wanting to say Mercedes because 888 Racing Mercedes. Anyway, those that do follow GT World Challenge will know the 888 Racing from the Bathurst 12 hours. That's a complete brain fart there. Has managed to drop the Porsche a little bit. The Porsche is good on the brakes. It's good through some of these twistier sections. Its top speed is, well, if anybody can find it, they'd like to know where it is. So it's very good through the twisty sections, but it struggles a bit on top speed. So that is going to be one to keep an eye on, although they are both chasing down. That is the 39. That is the 39 Mercedes. They are chasing that car down like it has stood still. So that's one to keep an eye on as well. That gap coming down. The Porsche and McLaren battle here is definitely not over. 920 versus 413. Porsche and McLaren. Porsche looks like it's got using the drive out of that last-ish corner to very good effect with the rear engine in that car. Just punches out really nicely. Punches a gap. Doesn't look entirely settled. Just gets a little bit of a bobble on the way into turn 1 there. Can't quite make the apex, but doesn't really lose any major amount of time. And is further extending that gap on the McLaren. The 888 Mercedes McLaren against Mercedes is hopping up, coming down the hanger straight. McLaren up the inside of the Mercedes. Nicely done. That pink pig has... no, that is a back marker. Oh, that is the back marker that we saw that was in the pits earlier. So that's not really supposed to happen. I looked at the time and agreed, that was not a smart place to and way of rejoining there, people. Let your hurry wait. Unfortunately, that has dropped the Porsche down a further place, but yeah, that was not the smartest of rejoins. Keep an eye on having a map on your screen, whether it be moving like ours is in the corner or static, is really helpful. Use that and look out the side of your car if you are stopped at the side of the track. Use your mirrors and keep an eye on what's going on to make sure you can get back on the track safely and not impede anybody else. Because if you end up piling onto the track before and people haven't realised you're there, you and whoever hits you are going to have a really bad day really quickly. So, how are we doing? Everything's just kind of stringing out a little bit. The battle at the front's still going on. We're now getting into the meat of this race. We're coming up to 15 minutes in. And it's just the gaps are starting to open up in a few places. A lot of places are up over a second, but it's this lead battle that is ebbing and flowing. The McLaren and the Aston Martin, I think whilst the Aston Martin get close, I don't think it's troubling the McLaren too much, but it's definitely giving the Mercedes something to think about, because that Mercedes is not going quite as quick as it has done previously. Its last lap was a 59.027 and it wasn't legal, so I'm not sure where they dropped that one. But the cars behind it, 58.977, which is the fastest lap of the race so far, followed by a 58.987. So the two cars behind it are flying in comparison to, I say flying, it's really not a lot between these two cars, between these three cars, but they are definitely making up a bit more time. Whilst Mercedes was able to gain a little bit of an early advantage, it looks like that advantage is starting to push away now from that car. So doing very well to those two to hang on. It does, like I said, it doesn't look like the Aston's particularly challenging the McLaren at the moment. They're just trying to make up as much ground as they can and stay in touch with this McLaren, this Mercedes in front of both of them to hold on to that gap. And should there be any mistakes from any of these cars, then the others will pounce immediately as they cross the line again to complete another lap. Putting them on to 7 laps completed, working lap 8 now. Miss Aston Martin in the back there, not having the best of runs through the first complex. The Nuggets, Beckett, etc. And just starting to drop back a little bit. The McLaren in the middle of this battle is very much staying in touch and keeping that Mercedes honest at this point in time. Managing to stay right on the tail, getting right up under that rear wing of the Mercedes. Mercedes has got good straight line speed, but it doesn't look quite as happy through the corners as the other two behind it. So again, you can see, I think Mercedes, whilst it's quick in a straight line, I think it might be beginning to hold the McLaren up, because that Aston has pulled the time straight back against that McLaren. So I think it might be beginning to look more like a when than an if from this Mercedes, when it will lose the lead. It's going to take a bit of a move, but like I say, we've got plenty of time. I wouldn't expect that many of these cars to be in much before at least the next 15 minutes before anybody starts making their first pit stop. Doing an hour in these cars is doable, it's not too bad. Track temps are not horrendous, as is air temperature. Air temperature is quite pleasant. Track temps a little high, but not too bad. 24, 29 for air and track respectively there. So it's a little on the high side, but it's not horrible. It's definitely going to make... The tyres will get a little bit hot, but they should be easy enough to balance with brake ducts and tyre pressures. Starting tyre pressures there. All three of them getting through that first corner. Aston Martin having a brief moment going through the floor. Not something I recommend. Mercedes fooling them, really starting to feel the pressure there, properly cutting the second apex through that complex, kicking up a load of dust. Fastest lap has fallen further in time. It's a 49.142. That is faster than both cars around. Both cars either side doing 59.3s respectively. 59.340 for the leader and 59.325 for third place. So yeah, not doing badly at all. That McLaren is definitely showing its pace in comparison to the car in front. And the Aston Martin is definitely holding on to the coattails rather nicely. Looks like it might be starting to push the McLaren, because that Mercedes is pulling away again a little bit. As these two close up, so the Mercedes starts to pull away from these two, as the McLaren has to look in its rear view a little bit more. Aston just taking a bit of a wider entry into that second hairpin before opening it, goes through the kink and opens out onto the Wellington. That has now brought the gap to the leader up to about 0.6 of a second now. Just having a flick back through, we have a battle on, a good race on here for the Audi and the BMW. BMW out of V10 versus straight 6. Turbo versus normally aspirated. Audi is up the inside. It's going to be the outside for the next corner though, and they just get shut out a little bit. Almost want to be on the outside for that, alongside outside for that first section, so you can hold the inside through the next half of that. That's what happened there with the BMW. Just took the loss on the exit of the first into the first section to gain on the exit of the second, gain through the second section of that complex. So very well done. Very nice racing, although that now looks like the BMW made a bit of a mistake and the Audi is clear and through. That was nicely done. Let's go back and have a quick look at that. Yeah, gets the drive out the first corner and it is done and through. And it's a completely different livery for that car than when it is in... It's green and... I'm not even going to go there. I'm not going to ask. It's technology. It's magical electric pixies. So yeah, that Audi now stretching a gap to about half a second there. Yeah, it looks like Donk Walk is causing carnage with my timing screens. Never mind. We shall just keep going. What have we got? We have the BMW. Oof, this is a bit of a battle going on back here. Let's have a follow of this one. In fact, I'm going to flick this Mustang that is having a look all over the back of McLaren. We know the Mustang is good on the brakes. The McLaren is not nearly as good on its brakes as honestly I'd say it's possibly. Oh, that BMW at the front gets a big wiggle on it. That gives the Porsche a chance to get through. Now the BMW is going to be slow on the straight. Does it give the a chance for the McLaren to dive? Yes, it does. Oh, there's contact. Oh, they were alongside. The BMW kind of got in, and that is a bad day for that BMW. They managed to recover it and get through. But that puts Howes in the Mustang up another place as well. So all three of these cars have gained through a couple of mistakes there. For a couple of issues there for the BMW, and that has put this up. But it has unfortunately opened that gap out to for the Mustang to the Porsche McLaren. Although you can see how much it closes in on the brakes. Just that little bit better on the brakes into this sector. Sector, so just having a quick look at the timer screens there. It is another beer Mustang. Mustangs are starting to, certainly those further back in the grid, are starting to look a little bit stronger as we go into this. That is an Audi going for a bit of a wander. No, that is a Mustang on the march up against the McLaren. Can't quite hold it. McLaren just got that aero grip through the first couple of sections here. Can't quite hang on to it. Mustang had a really good go there through into Maggots and Beckett. Couldn't quite hang on to it, but should be able to close up on the hanger down here on the power as they come down into Stowe, I believe it is, at the bottom of the circuit. There's a rather nice stately home that it's named after. That corner. So yeah, Mustang all over the back wing of that McLaren there. Oh, that was a gap that was never going to stay there, and that lets the BMW. BMW comes there almost. It's almost like the parting of the waves with those two cars. The BMW comes through. That is unfortunate that came to that end. I'm not sure that McLaren was at fault there. In all honesty. So we look at the. Again, it's another Mustang getting past the McLaren there. The Mercedes. I'll put my teeth back in and try that one again. Getting past the Mercedes there. Have a look back up. These two have started to battle evidently because the leader is now out to a tune of 1.5 seconds now at the lead, leaving these two to battle on their own. So was worried this might happen between the Aston and the McLaren as these two have just started to get under the Aston's just started to get into the head of McLaren, and is just starting to cause them problems, causing them to look in the mirror more than forwards, and they're just causing them to be a little bit slow, but the Aston can't quite get past. This is the risk of being sat behind somebody for so long, is you just end up looking at the rear of their car and then not actually working out how to get past them. A little bit of a wiggle there through that for the McLaren. Keeps it under control though, gets it gathered up. Aston Martin nice and controlled all the way through there. Front engine, rear wheel drive, more of a comparatively a low aero car compared to the McLaren there. So this is kind of brute force versus finesse. It looks like Aston Martin sends it on the brakes. McLaren just has not got any answer for that whatsoever. Stacks it up, parks it on the way into the next, into the final-ish corner there, and just stops the McLaren from getting past. That, as we're getting now into the stint, we're now almost 25 minutes into this first stint, so fuel's going to be burning off. Aston is clearly better on the lower fuel setup, and has clearly managed to save enough of its tyres to really start to push on. The question is, 2.4 seconds is the gap to the leaders, to that lead Mercedes. Can this Aston now just get its head down and start to chase down that McLaren? As we have changed its position, the Mercedes is dropping back, lost a place previously to the McLaren, to the Ford, now has lost another place to the Porsche. So that car, whilst it did pretty reasonably across the start and qualifying, particularly through the start, as they are now back to the position they started in. They started in 15th. The car in front actually started in 13th. The Mustang in front of them actually started in 20th. They've gained 7 places to be in 13th, where they are now. So very well done. 25 minutes into this stint, indeed. So this will be an interesting one. Who bolts and where? The earliest you really want to stop is with about an hour to go, a little under an hour to go. BMW sends it on into that into Stowe there, gets a bit of a wiggle on, gets a little bit loose on the rear of that car. Can't quite manage to gather it up. They are lobbing that at BMW around. This is fantastically fun to watch. Unfortunately, it's not how to be fast, because you can see the gap that should open straight back up, because they can't get the power down in comparison. And it has let the Porsche in 24 kind of catch back up to these two, catch up to them as they've dropped back from the car in front. Just a little bit of overdriving, a little bit too much, getting close, and they've got to calm it back down and let that get going. Don't let the red mist get the better of you. There's still over an hour to go of this race. Aston hasn't quite managed to drop the McLaren. Those two cars both being very good in the slipstream as it seems, so they're just not. McLaren hasn't quite had the speed over the last couple of laps to really pull away. They have been basically matching each other's times. Last time across the stripe, they were 59.555 for the McLaren, 59.565 for the Aston Martin. So trading blows literally with lap times there. The fastest lap of the race now goes to the Mercedes in first place. That is a 58.850, so you can see the time that they've pulled out there. Compared to the cars behind, the last time by they were 59.155, so these two battling each other has cost them dearly in terms of time to the leader, unfortunately. It's great for us though, we get to see this going on. The 888 McLaren is on the trying to keep in touch with the 333 McLaren of gold. So this is Costas and Gold battling out for 11th and 12th overall. These two being identical cars, this is literally going to come down to who's got what in terms of setup between these two cars. Who can manage to be that little bit braver through the corners. Looks like Costas has got the drive, but was a bit deep. However, they've got the prime position into track position now into this next corner. They went deep, went wide, and that was very nicely done. That's what I said earlier. If you can run around the outside of somebody into the previous corner, right in deep, run it out wide, it gives you a chance to actually cut back and hold the inside line for the next corner. So very nicely done. I'm not entirely sure it was intentional, but it was very nicely recovered and very nicely done. There. We have Gray and Adam in the BMW and Audi respectively. Just keeping each other honest. They're keeping each other honest. There's around half a second gap to those two now. So there's the Audi just not quite having got past, just not quite able to completely pull away as nice and easily as they would like. Again, it's only tenths between these two cars in terms of lap times, and barely a tenth in lap time in the fastest laps, let alone last time across the stripe. So, Steiner is now on the back of his 39 Mercedes. Is this going to be a... so Stein has caught back up to this Mercedes, having had a bit of a moment, a bit of an overdrive into the same section a few laps prior. They've now caught back up. That BMW looks a little bit loose. It's just wagging its tail a little bit more than I think they're entirely comfortable with. It's very, very fast, and you can see that just by the way the Mercedes. I'm not sure the Mercedes needed to be quite that defensive through there, but it has got the job done. But unfortunately, it has left them very much potentially under fire from this BMW. The BMW has got a fantastic amount of straight line speed, especially up in the toe now, coming down the Wellington straight towards the last complex of corners. Can the BMW do anything? Not quite. Get up under the rear wing. The front end starts to lose a lot of aero, and that's going to hurt your brakes and it's going to hurt your tyres. But Mercedes is wide through the final corner there, but BMW can't quite make anything stick or make anything go. So we have a battle between Daryl and Bud for this for 20th, 2nd and 23rd. Both of these cars looks like they were carrying damage. I think these two have been ebbing and flowing the gap between them for a little while now over the course of this race. Porsche goes in deep into that penultimate corner, and then but is able to gather it back up. McLaren just sitting there as a reminder of don't make any mistakes because I will be through, as we see indeed first of what I would assume would be a scheduled pit stop for the 888 McLaren. There, nicely done. That was, I'm assuming, a straightforward stop. Little bit long, so evidently possibly a little bit of damage. 40 seconds on the clock there, stop for that car. 107 line to line, including their stop. So that's going to be an interesting one. They have pitted basically as early as is reasonably possible with these cars. They will do an hour reasonably easily. When you start opening the time up to beyond that, then you start running the risk of getting into fuel and tyre issues, basically. Fuel-wise, a lot of them will do that. Tyre-wise, might start to get a bit tricky. But what they have done is done everything perfectly. They've come out into pretty clear track. Admittedly, they are now behind this battle with Darrell and Bud, but that shouldn't be too big of a deal to clear given the speed of this car versus the two in front. So that's our first pit caller. That's I would guess, our first scheduled pit caller. Now, I'm guessing they're going to smatter in slowly over the next sort of 15 minutes or so before the halfway mark, and around the halfway mark, we'll see the bulk of the pit stops coming in. Now, this is a race for track position, so neither of these cars have to give way to the other. Darrell is now having to look in his rear view as well as trying to attack. So the awkward bit is if you open the door, if you try and go for a move and it opens the door for the car behind, you can very quickly find yourself in a lot of trouble. That Porsche goes in really deep, forces them to be defensive on the inside. That upset Darrell, and that 888 Costas McLaren has just managed to dive through into the gap that was created by the 50 getting a bit stacked up there. Now that 888 is onto the tail of the Porsche, what can they do? It's a very small braking zone into this one. Managed to scare the Porsche into out-braking themselves from nowhere near them. And that is that car through. Well done indeed. But this has now put Darrell right on the back of this Porsche. So this battle is not over and done with at this moment in time. Obviously, fresh tyres, fresh fuel, fresh tyres on that 888 car has clearly made it significantly quicker than these two cars behind. Can Darrell do anything on there? Again, Porsche kind of goes defensive. Darrell just checks up, possibly dived a little bit too tight to the apex there. Lost a bit, possibly a little bit too much speed. Speed there on the way in, because as they just tucked in a little bit tight. That is the lead Mercedes just out of the top of shot now, that is catching up to these two to put a lap down. Whew. Back at the front, the gap is now 4 seconds, but the McLaren has dropped back to the tune of almost just over half a second to the Aston Martin. So that Aston Martin they're trading blows on lap time, is just able at this latter stage in this in proceedings in this first stint, is just able to stretch its legs and stretch a little bit more of a gap out. So as the fuel burns off, that car is getting easier to drive and a little bit faster. Drop back to this battle now again with the Porsche and the McLaren. The question is, can Darrell do anything with the leader that he's going to be closing up pretty quickly on these two cars? 2:05 versus sub 2 minute laps. That Mercedes is going to be catching quickly. The question is, can Darrell do anything to let Mercedes through in a place where it's not going to lose them too much time, and then for the Porsche to stack up. And then as that Porsche lets the Mercedes through, can they do anything? Porsche has to go really wide going into this section. What can Darrell do? He's got better momentum across the apex there. Can carry that through the exit. Porsche kicks up a bit of dust there. Has pretty much just reset the gap, unfortunately. Couldn't quite manage to make anything happen. But that is the battle for second place, is also coming into the top of shot for these two. So that's another two cars that they've got to work out what's going on. Darrell, I think, just outbraked himself a little bit there. Not too big of a deal. Darrell is one of the stewards and mods here at TOGA as well. So doing a very good job and a very good showing there for somebody who wears a number of hats and doesn't always get as much time as I'd like to race, but then who does these days? So that is another of the pit callers. That is Gray dropping in. They have pitted out of the top 10. So this is one of our first high position pit callers. Qualified in 5th. They were certainly still up into the top 10. 34 second, very nicely done. Stop there for that car to reset their stint times. 52 minutes, so it's a little bit before, but it looks like they've managed to get themselves out into clear air. That was a yellow flag, and I'm not sure who that was for those two. Was it this? Looks like it was these two. Didn't see what happened there. Let's have a look. Come through the last corner. Mustang on BMW. Go through all the German manufacturers before I get to the right one. Ooh, BMW just on the brakes a bit earlier than the Mustang was. I think the Mustang got a little bit checked up, didn't quite know what they were doing. Very gentlemanly, made the mistake and has let BMW go back past there. So very nicely done, well done, good driving etiquette there from the Mustang. Knowing they were the one that screwed up, let the car back pass after their mistake. Wonderfully done. So that was the 87 car of John Gray for 0 Point Racing. That's been the first of our high position, our further up the grid pit callers. Has come out in 18th, but has come out into relatively clear air. Does have the Mustang of Howes. No, that is not the Mustang of Howes. That's a backmarker Mustang that they've got to get past, so that should be relatively straightforward. There to get past. We have a drive-through. How have you managed that? 24th has managed to get a drive-through. Obviously, there's no live stewarding for this race, so that will be entirely for track limits. Inside the first stint, managed to get yourself a drive-through. Well done. I hope you weren't planning on pitting at the end of this lap, because you're gonna want hopefully you're not running too low on fuel. I wouldn't recommend doing that. I have managed to do that. I managed to give myself a drive-through going into the pits. Don't ask. So Steiner is still on the back. Is on the back of the 85 Porsche. So they've cleared the Mustang, the 39 Mercedes, and has caught up with the 85 Porsche pink pig car there of Michel Median.
Pit window is open.
Ah, there is a pit window. I did not realise there was a 10-minute pit window. So anybody that has pitted already has to make another stop, because that wasn't a legal stop. Ooh. That is something you should always check. So that is, unfortunately, probably put the Audi 87 out of the game now. So there should be wholesale pit stops, and it's going to be frantic over the next few laps. I did not realise there was a pit window. I have not quite checked all of the details for this race. Evidently. Annoyingly, the timing screen isn't showing me whether they've made their legal stop or not. So that is Barncroft Turner into the pits now for the McLaren, as is, that will be, it's going to be wholesale pit stops. The Mustang, BTR Mustang of Carlo is in from position there, so I'm assuming we're going to see wholesale stops for a lot of cars over the next couple of laps. Like I say, you've got probably about 4 or 5 laps to in terms of time, depending on where you are. So that is the Audi of Algin Lyosov for Le Samurai Motorsport. Apologies for butchering that name. Another of the Mustangs is in. That's the A8. No, not the A85. 29. I'll get there eventually. 29 Mustang is in and hits its marks nicely. Leader has still not pitted. There is 8 minutes remaining of pit window, so we shall see who pits where and when. Obviously, that's makes things nice and straightforward. Did not realise there was a pit window for this one. Like I say, I think that's going to bust a few people's strategies, unfortunately, for what they were planning on doing. They've managed to get out into quite nicely out into clear air and get their heads down. But unfortunately, it won't be a legal stop due to the fact that it was in the pit window. This is gold on Donkerwalk, as Donkerwalk ends that battle by diving for the pit. It's a very fast entry that's almost blind where the pit board is. You kind of come around that corner and it's only a handful of car lengths in front of you. So that is Stein Donkerwalk into the pits there. Who else have we got in there? We have Bud has peeled in front of Darrell for that one. And down and away, how are we doing? Those that have stopped, 28, 34 seconds for Gray, 40, there's a few not doing too badly. Like I say, unfortunately I think that Audi has beansed it up a little bit. It would have been interesting to see where they come out, but they've essentially got a stop go 30. Speaking of which, the 612 BMW has managed to pick one of those up. I am assuming by the fact they have made a stop that was exactly for speeding in the pit lane. Well done. That is, and the leader is in to the pits. So question is, who hit where and when now? So the leader had about 4 seconds. Second and third have pitted. It looks like O'Sullivan has dropped back. I don't know if they have. Did they pit? Or did they have issues? They have not stopped, so that's evidently some issues that has caused O'Sullivan to drop back massively. I hadn't quite realised that. Didn't see where that happened. But O'Sullivan is back to the tune of 7 seconds to our current leader as of is through this pit stop cycle of Giorgio in the TOGA Motorsport McLaren. 5.5 minutes remaining of the stint time. We are just coming up to 45 minutes 20 seconds to go. So that is basically half distance at this moment in time. A few more people. Pixel is in as well. It looks like Mercedes is down, away and out. That was that pit stop. 35 seconds, so a little bit long, but nothing too major. Obviously that gap can disappear if the other cars, they had about 4 seconds in hand, so if they can manage to, cars behind can manage to get a good stop, then that will be, potentially that lead will disappear to almost nothing, if not completely go, if the cars around them, that were around them, can have a slightly quicker stop. 34 seconds, as Gray is climbing back through the field now. Unfortunately does still have to make another stop, as it wasn't within the pit window. The Pink Pig out there on their own, still as yet to pit. 9:20 Jaeger crew. This is, I think, middle of the afternoon. If you're actually tuning in from Canada, from the land of maple leaves, then this is going to be somewhere in the afternoon for you on a Saturday, which is quite nice. I'm hoping the weather is nice, and it's, I'm assuming, snowing. As we have a few more pit stops, we have Giorgio is in, and as is O'Sullivan. O'Sullivan actually in just ahead. That puts Antonio Corenzo in the Aston Martin now into the lead, as yet to stop. 33 seconds now for O'Sullivan. 13 seconds. 23, 24, 25. Where is that lead Mercedes? Just come through onto the pit straight. They are actually out in front. 32 seconds. Stopped. 59-second pit stop, line to line. So that has closed the gap in, but it hasn't closed the gap in enough, as it was only about 2 seconds between the two cars that gap has been shrunk by. So that is a 7 and a bit second lead for there. O'Sullivan is out, but he's behind the Pink Pig that is yet to stop. So that is about 6 seconds back from the McLaren that it was battling with. Hopefully that Aston can punch forward and do what it can. There's about a 40-second lead now currently for Corenzo, but they haven't as yet stopped, so they will tumble down the order with 2 minutes 15 to go, and you're not really going to have time for another lap if you go around again to make it to the line, as you are going to be on 2 minutes left now, and that would not be enough time to get around. So anybody that hasn't stopped as of yet, make this your lap when you stop on. So that is that one, the 85 Pink Pig car. You're going to have to bail for the box this lap as well. Anybody yet to hit? Howell's in the Mustang, still as yet to hit in any form whatsoever. That looked like somebody possibly just disconnected, or possibly reconnected. We had 29 cars. We were on 32 when we started, so there has been a little bit of attrition over the course of this one. So everybody doing all right. We're now, last minute or so of the pit window now, with everybody coming through, and that was the Corenzo has just piled into the pit and what have you. That was a bizarre thing the camera just did. Bit of a long stop again. It was a 35-second stop, 103 line to line, so lost out a little bit on the cars in front of them, but that has reset the order there. The Pink Pig Porsche is now steadily tumbling down the order as they are stopped for their stop. Howells is diving to the pit lane as well. Ooh, that's not fun.
Pit window is now closed.
And that's the end of the pit window, as was marked there by the in-game crew chief. So, with everybody currently in the having basically made their required pit stops, it is the Mercedes still in the lead, driven by Benton. Giorgio in the McLaren is in second, O'Sullivan in third, Corenzo in fourth, Gray in fifth. Again, I am not sure that car's made a legal pit stop because that pitted outside of the pit window, unfortunately. So I'm not sure whether that will be counted come at the end. So we'll see what happens. Sixth is Adam in the BMWs, 416. Pixel in seventh. Median in eighth. Ninth is Stephen. Donkelborg in 10th, and 11th is Terran. Carlo in 12th, Manfred Steiner in 13th, Jack in 14th, David in 15th, Jaeger in 16th, 17th is Costas, 18th is Howells, Yusuf in 19th, Zane in 20th, Bud in 21st, 22nd is Raleigh, 23rd is Daryl, Barncroft Turner in 24th, Daniel in 25th, Franco in 26th, Angelina Ilsov in 27th, 29th, rounding out the last of the cars that are still running, is Patrick. And unfortunately, it looks like Howells has managed to get themselves stop go 30 through that pit stop cycle. Well done. He will have 3 laps to serve that. Right, 37.5 minutes to go. Everybody has made all, I think most people have made the required stops. Triple Eight, ooh, Triple Eight car having to get very out of the way of the Aston Martin there, of O'Sullivan for 0 Point Racing. I'm hoping the stream is still working, and it looks like it is. That's good. Right, sorry, I'm mildly paranoid on that one because I've had a few crashes. I've turned a few settings down here and there, so hopefully it still looks good. Unfortunately, computer's not always playing ball. Either the computer or internet, one of the two, is not always playing ball. So that is all good. As we run into the last half an hour of this race, it's kind of got a little bit steady. Adam is hovering around the second mark on Gray in that Audi. That Audi is the one of the cars with the question mark. It pitted early outside of the pit stop window, so we don't know whether it has made a legal pit stop or not. I know there's a button on the keyboard. I don't want to go pushing buttons on the keyboard to change what the timing tower is telling me. Let's find it right. Anyway, that I was just trying to see whether I could change that or not. No, don't know which button it is. I need to learn some of these things a little bit. But either way, that is Adam on the tail of Gray there in the Audi. Just that car looking a little bit happier on fresh tyres and fresh fuel than the Audi is. The Audi, obviously, when it did pit, it's been on its fuel and tyres for about almost half an hour already. So that car is going to be starting to feel it a little bit in terms of where, compared to the cars that have only been on their fuel and tyres for about 10 minutes in comparison. You are still holding out roughly where you were, so I think that's, again, timing screen glitch-related things. So yeah, that battle is hovering. It ebbs and flows a little bit. 39 Mercedes down in 14th is chasing down the 24 Porsche. You can see that pink and green one. Very nice and easy to pick out. Having to go by the BMW, that is one of the, that's the 612, yeah, it is the 612, is a back marker to those cars. Change of position for the Mustang, getting ahead of the 888 McLaren. The Mustang is as yet to, being passed, I think, actually, sorry. Is as yet to take its stop go 30. You do only get 3 laps to take those before you end up in a lot of trouble. So yes, David is on the tail of that 24 Porsche, and we have Franco in the 277, which Aston Martin is on the tail of the 29 Mustang there. We have yellow flags. I'm not sure who that is for. It's 19th. Who is? No, that must be Carmen. Is it car 19th? Ah, yes. There we go. That is car number 19 having some issues. Didn't see what started it, but is doing quite a reasonable job there of holding their position and not doing anything too extreme. Just waiting for a gap. If you guys look at this toothpaste tube, there's just all the cars coming through, and there's nowhere you can see to be able to rejoin. You could reverse a little bit and possibly try and get up to speed before getting back out onto track. But either way, holding the position on track where you have made a mistake is also a very safe and valid option. Howes is just served their stop-go 30 there, so very nicely done. Donkerwalk in 10th has picked up a drive-through. Again, track limits related, and that is out onto the tail of the Audi from... Ooh, that was snug on the back of that Audi. I don't know if they did touch or whether that Audi just bailed out the way to try and make sure they weren't at all a risk. That is Stephen has managed to get past in the 921 Ferrari, has got past the 85 Porsche. That is that 416 behind them? No, it's not. It's one of the other modified UK cars. Other modified UK BMW, is that one? Yes, it is. 418 then. Looks like they are behind there. Looking at the battle between Franco and David in the Aston Martin and Mustang respectively, making those cars work there for each of them. The Aston just not quite able to keep entirely on check with the Mustang. Mustang punches a nice big hole in the air, but the Aston just went a little too deep on the brakes, running on and off track there, kicking a bit of dust. Not the greatest of ways of doing that, and has lost out a little bit of time overall. This is the 920 trying to catch up with the 333. It's about half a second or so. We'll see what happens. Donkerwalk is in to serve drive-through, so that will drop them down the order, as that is the Porsche through. Very nicely done. They do have the leader on their tail a little in a few laps time to deal with that one. So Donkerwalk is now out and underway. These two coming out of coming through turn 1 do need to be aware of that car. This is now position 4 position with the... Is that 4 position? No, it's not 4 position. That is a back marker. The Audi is not having a lot of luck there with being picked up as a back marker through the exit of the first complex, Maggots-Beckett's complex there. Having to lift going down the straight there. Steiner is right on the tail of the Mustang of 26, driven by Carlo. So that's getting up there and desperately trying to make things work. Not quite able to make things happen. That is the 221 Bud Porsche having an incident. What happened there? Did briefly see the McLaren involved. Looks like the Porsche was a little bit slow coming into this section through Formula Turn 1, and goes in very deep, tries to hang on to it. It's okay there, goes into the door of the McLaren, and just stuck there on the side of the track. Nicely done, reverses it out, keeps the engine running, reverses it out, and gets back underway. Not really the smartest of answers for either driver, although I'm not entirely sure McLaren could have expected that move to be coming. It looks like the Mustang has got through. How did that happen? Sorry, the Aston can't quite go far enough back to see how this happened. But yes, that is the Aston through on the Mustang. Very well done there. And I shall wait for this to run out in a few seconds' time. And we'll catch up with the battle that is going on elsewhere. As I think it is the recovering Bud trying to not lose too much time on Bancroft Turner. That will jump to what's going on there. And that is the... that's the 39. 39 is coming through to lap this group of cars as well. So that Porsche will have to get out of the way of this one. As it is trying to recover. That is the McLaren up ahead that it made contact with. So technically no advantage gained from the contact, however not great. That is a Mustang basically pulling over there. I don't know which one that was. Don't know what happened there. They have just bailed to the pits out of whatever position they were in. They just seem to pull over to the side of the track, so I don't know what happened there. Hopefully all is well in the space behind that steering wheel, and there's nothing major going on. Daryl is, again, with everything that's been going on, is starting to catch up to the back of Bancroft Turner there. Hovering around the second mark on that one, so not doing badly, as yeah, that Carlo Mustang is now tumbling down the order. I think Howells is now onto the tail of that's the Zane in the Modified Content UK BMW. That Howells Mustang is absolutely flying in comparison. I don't think that BMW's got much of an answer to it going into Stowe. Late on the brakes, chucks it in up the inside, and it is beautifully done there. Zane really didn't have much of an answer there, and that is the 885 upper position. Unfortunately, they do have 26 seconds to catch to the next car, although that is... they will gain a place as they catch and pass Carlos, that is now in the pit. Okay, Carlos and they're the reverse. I just had a moment of what is going on there. No, that is the BMW is up another position. We're down to 27, still running. So in 24 minutes' time, if you're still running, guaranteed top 30. We have 612 looking possibly a little slow, not slow enough to hang white flags on the map, but certainly looking a little slow. The 221 Porsche is now starting to get onto the tail of Daryl in that 50 McLaren. But the computer has a funny timing screen has a funny 5 minutes as the everybody goes past the Mustang that's currently in the pits of Carlos. What else have we got? We have Steiner and the 24. So that is the 24 and 71. These two cars have been trading positions over the course of this race already. That Steiner is not looking happy. That's a car that's had a big impact with the wall. The front of that car is very messed up, and the back end is also looking quite messed up. That has been into the wall hard somewhere on track, so I'm guessing that is going to be a car that will be aiming for the pits as soon as possible. that does not look fun or happy to try and get turned into Stowe there. So that is a lot of damage. That's going to be a long stop, unfortunately, for that car. As that was a car exiting stage left, well and truly. Not quite sure. I think it was this one. Comes through. No, I think it might have just been as it went out of shot. It just looked like it exited stage right there. As we have the 39 again further dropping back against the 920 Porsche. As the 612 and the 221 are now trying to trade positions. 621 right on the tail of that car. Uh, 20 minutes to go, and it is saying rain in 30 minutes, so if it's early, it might arrive before the end of the race, but I don't think it will really jumble things up too much, if at all. So that's not going to be that probably won't be a factor. Like I say, it might come through a little early, but it's not going to be a major factor. That is the BMW that has parked it. 61, which one was it? It was one of the BMWs. It was, yeah, 71, Steiner. Manfred Steiner for Sim Racer. Sim Racer, that's spelled oddly, that's why it's getting my brain confused. It's still out, even with that car as it is, they are still out turning laps. They are out of the top 10 now, they are down in 11th. 11th there. Do feel free to please like all the videos and what have you, subscribe and get said bell and etc. on. Is greatly appreciated, very helpful for all of us here. Helps keep bringing content like this to yourselves. Anybody that is watching online. Again, chuck us a comment in chat. As I say earlier on, I did ask which is your preferred layout, this one we have now or the older bridge layout of the circuit. That is the 418. Was that another car that stopped earlier on? It's been 40 minutes. Yeah, that was another car that stopped early on in the race. That's not having a fun time, and that's going to be another one that is has got a question mark over it whether it will be good. Although that may be them parking that to the end of the race, knowing that is not going to work. The only other one was great in the Audi that had that. Out of sync pit stop, whether that will count or not. Other things that are going on. The fastest through the speed traps, 257 kilometers an hour for O'Sullivan in the Aston Martin of all things, and that is by a significant margin. The next highest that I'm seeing is a 255 from anybody, and those are few and far between. Just flicking through some of the info on the timing screens. So very well done there. That is a car that's clearly trimmed out for top speed. They are 7 seconds back on second place, as it's about a 7.5 second gap to the leader from second place. We have a pit caller. It is the Pink Pig. Not sure the reasoning for that one. How long were they out for? 22 minutes. They pitted in the right window. I don't know whether they've picked up damage, had issues, or what the score is there. But that is a car that has been in the pits. That is the number 19 back out and underway. The 26 is still pitted, but he is a long way down. Has completed 30 laps, but not sure they're going to really complete many more than that. As a rough guess, I'm guessing we're going to do about 45, 48-ish laps by the end of this one. So judging by the time, the fact that the leaders are still pulling sub 2-minute laps over the course of the race, that will equate to a few more laps. We are down into 16 minutes 50 seconds to go. And it is hotting up on track. We have Donkerwalk in car 51 against Steiner car 71. Ferrari on BMW as another BMW gets gets out of the way. Steiner does the right things, makes a mistake, gets on the brakes, gets out of the way. But that is Donkerwalk makes a mistake, gets on the brake, outbrakes themselves, tries to make the corner, wasn't happening. Holds the brakes where they were. That looks like that is going to be a return to garage for that car. Indeed it is. That might well be Donkerwalk out of this one, unfortunately, with that damage. The 85 is still in. That's been in for a time now, 2 minutes 9. So yeah, that's lost a chunk of time there, unfortunately. That was looking like it was going to be a bit exciting. Donkerwalk just outbreak themselves, as you do when you're going for a bit of an attack on people, on somebody. But unfortunately, it wasn't to be. How are we looking? How are we doing? Anything that is particularly interesting? Nothing major. How is our leader getting on? In clear air at the moment. Just running their own race. They have managed to... It looked a bit dicey to start with. It looked like it might have been a little bit on with the McLaren and the Aston. But those two have now fallen away as the race has progressed. Yeah, as the race has progressed. So, last time by for the leader, it was a 2 minutes, .290. Fastest lap is still a 58.540. Very close between that and second place, who did a 58.562 is their fastest lap. So, that's a very, very tight margin between those two. And it's equally tight. It is 2/10 at the end of that last lap in favour of McLaren. 2 minutes .027, 2 minutes .290. The O'Sullivan car pushing hard. It's actually half a second, whilst it wasn't legal, was half a second faster last time across the stripe than the McLaren with a 59.532. As that's got a random positive number next to it. Not sure what happened there. Is there somebody in the pits that's not showing? Yeah, I think there might be somebody in the pits that's not showing on my timing screens. Either way, not entirely sure what's going on there. Race control, doing race control things. All three, or the whole top four last time by sub 2 minutes. 59.722, 59.702, 59.652. So the Aston is currently in, the lap times are currently in favour of the Aston, but it is barely in favour. We are talking tenths of a lap at a time. Now with 12 minutes to go, 6 seconds is the gap to second place. It's plausible. It's plausible to close that up, but it's not going to be easy. The 7 seconds to the leader for second place, they're going to have to both be closing exceptionally quickly on what has been a fantastically metronomic consistency from the Mercedes from the very start of this race. So we shall see what happens. It's at the moment it's looking like it's in favour of the Aston just on lap times alone. Most laps they are at least a tenth, if not more, a lap faster. Even with the backmarker traffic, they're evidently been getting good good options through there for getting past. Rain in 10 minutes. Light rain in 10 minutes. That's... if it does turn up, it's going to be so late in the race. I don't think it's going to be anything major. You're not going to be... I doubt you'll need to pit for wets at that moment in time, as and when it does arrive, because we'll be talking about literally the last lap or two that the rain will arrive, if it does at all. So, yeah, we'll watch, we'll keep an eye out. If things do start getting damp, then so be it, we'll see what happens. Answers on a postcard. Do you think the rain is going to arrive before the end of the race or not? Honestly, there's not a huge amount to really commentate on. This is a battle between Bud in this and Rally in the Porsche and BMW respectively. BMW looking for a way past on that Porsche. Porsche is good on the brakes and good through the corners, and really good on corner exit. As you can see, it's just able to get on the gas that little bit earlier, and it's just able to punch away from that BMW in comparison. Not looking entirely comfortable through one or two of these corners, but nothing too major. Oh, gets stacked up behind the Audi though into the hairpins through Formula Turn 2 and 3 there. That has put the BMW right on the tail of the Porsche. The Porsche has got the drive and is able to make a gap. Just the lack of weight in that Porsche just means it just pulls so quickly and can spin up really nicely on the way in through there. Again, the Porsches I've noticed have been opting for that wider entry into this section. They'll take a compromised wide entry to stay tight to the exit, to the inside to get the exit on the into the net. Get the exit to be tight on the next corner to cover off anything there. Doesn't seem to have hampered anything major in terms of lap time, although that mistake there, running in a little bit deep on the brakes, has opened the door. BMW is significantly faster in a straight line. Who's got what? BMW has to back out of it, not willing to go too wide into Beckett's there. And that has opened that one up. Howes has just tucked in to the inside of us, is hovering around the second mark on Youssef, but does have the McLaren there as a back marker. No, sorry, that is the gap there. That was very slow through that section, unfortunately, for Youssef, and he's now under fire. They go defensive on the inside, but I don't think it's going to matter. Mustang is just so much better on the brakes. Wide sweep in. It's going to be on the inside for the next section. McLaren just can't quite cut back and make anything happen on the exit there. And that is the Mustang of Howes through after bit of a howler of a race so far with a number of penalties that has dropped them back. They are pushing back on through the field. They are still actually positive 6 places since the start, so whilst they've had penalties, they've actually recovered very well. Back with this Porsche BMW battle then that is still going on. Porsche much tighter, much neater and tidier through into the coming off the Wellington straight into this last complex of corners. Does very nicely there and is able to drive away and just open that gap up. I think it might have been a couple of rough laps for the Porsche and that closed the BMW in, but the BMW is definitely starting to drop back now against the Porsche. The Porsche, it got the previous few corners right, but it's just struggling a little bit on turning. I wonder if that car with 6.5 minutes to go is getting a bit light on the front end and it's just starting to struggle getting turned in and getting slowed down because it's got a lack of weight on that front axle now. The rain in 10 minutes has got worse, so if it does get wet, it's not going to be it's going to be very light rain as it moves to heavy rain that will come through. I am going to be surprised if anything does land before the end of the race, but I mean, it wouldn't be racing in the UK if it didn't rain at some point. That was a mistake from the BMW, and that has run it wide and actually has let. I believe that's the 39, isn't it? Where is that one currently? Where is the 39? Is that, yeah, that is ahead. Is that ahead? Yes, that is ahead, as we see the 920 Porsche now on the tail of Steiner. Steiner evidently not happy with that car, and having managed to get up into 10th, back into 10th, and done okay there, has lost back out to that Porsche, unfortunately dropping it back into 11th. Is about 16.5 seconds to the next car up the road, so unless that car has major issues, which is the 24 Porsche, that's probably going to be where they finish unless the limping 71 can do anything else. That is, the rain has now arrived. Okay, with 4 minutes 40 to go, that is, the rain has arrived. Probably gonna be okay. I say that as the BMW goes for a big drift and loses a bunch of time to the Porsche that it was chasing. The 85, oh, that's a car that has been in the pit. The 19 BMW is currently just trying to make their way around. Yeah, that is, rain has arrived. It is 4 minutes to go plus wherever the leader is. Where is the leader? He's coming through the middle of the course. That is yellow flags through the S's for somebody. I'm not sure which car that is. The yellow flag thing on race control is no longer working, unfortunately. Tell me who it was who caused the yellow flag. But this is... Porsche gets a wiggle on, but not nearly as badly as the BMW. BMW on the grass. Track is now marked as greasy, unfortunately. So that is going to be cooling these tyres down and cooling the cars off very quickly. As the Porsche has evidently didn't quite gather it up as well as we thought. That one has had a bit of a spin in sympathy further up the road. I'm assuming with how quick the leaders are, they're not going to be bothered by this weather at all. The gap actually has come down significantly over the last couple of laps. The Aston Martin has pulled in about a second on second place already in this weather with just under 3 minutes to go. That's quite a big gap to have pulled in. It was hovering around the 6.5 second mark. It's now under It's now about 5.5 seconds, that gap. So that's one to keep an eye on, although it doesn't look like that Aston's got quite the straight line go out of there, but it does look relatively comfortable compared to others, tiptoeing their way through. I mean, 2 minutes, the leader went 2 minutes 1:8.70 last time by, 2 minutes 2:95, 2 minutes 5:55 for second and third. So that is hampering everybody's times in this weather. McLaren are having to give way to the Mercedes there. Does an okay job. I think they just got caught out a little bit on how quickly that car turned up. That is the 920. Steiner has got past the 920 again now. Obviously, with the weather as it is, I mean, that car's been looking like it's been handling like a greasy weasel already with the damage it's been taking. So, probably not made a huge amount of difference to the way the car drives, given the amount of damage on that car. But the Porsche is trying to have a go back. And that is the beginning of the final lap. Second place is almost under 5 seconds. They're probably short of a big mistake from second. Third is about 5 seconds back at the start of this lap. So short of a major mistake from second, that is going to be a bit too much of an ask. However, it is raining. It's not looking amazingly great out there. Track is now marked as damp. You can start to see some of the standing water. The surface just getting a little bit visibly wet now as we come into the end of this. And given the way the weather's been been here in the UK, I'm not surprised by the fact that it decided it was going to rain. So yeah, as we see the leader just coming through the last, coming through the end of sector 2 and heading towards sector 3 to complete their last lap and come across the line. Quick flick back to this 920-71 battle, as that's about the only major pair of cars that got close to each other. We'll see who does what and where, as the leader is just going through the S's. No need to do anything dumb, just keep it nice and steady, keep it easy. Rumble of that 6.2 litre V8 on the brakes down into this final complex for the last time. Keeps it nice and neat. Little bit of a twitch on the exit. Keeps it under control. Nothing major. Looking reasonably decent. You can see the spray starting to get kicked up off the back of these cars now as they're going through. Oh, Estevez, car 29 Mustang, right on the nose there, getting a drive-through penalty. 71. Let's go back to this battle. That is the leader. Very well done to Benson. Managed to get away there. Gonna jump back to this battle now. Coming towards the end of this. This is Steiner versus Kruger. Jaeger? Sorry. 920 versus 71. 71 is fighting back, but who's got the drive on the exit? My money's on the Porsche. That rear engine's going to be helping massively. And sure enough, you can just see how much earlier that Porsche can get on the gas. Very nicely done, very well done, and that will be a 10th place for the Porsche and 11th for the 71 BMW. Very well done. Gray is going for some celebratory donuts a little early. That car not looking entirely happy, trying to get to the end of this one. They do have a bit of time in hand to the car behind that is as yet to finish. Indeed. Those that are listening in, anybody is welcome to jump into the waiting room, and I can come and have a chat if you want to come and have a chat after the race about everything. That is a slow-moving Porsche. I'm assuming that has finished. Either that or they have very unluckily run out of fuel. So that is grey there across the line. The 81 Porsche. No, I'm wondering whether that is a car that has run out of fuel. And that is... Oh, this is wonderful. It looks like the Porsche might have run out of fuel, but that is the BMW 19 is now basically nudging that car across the line. That's wonderful sportsmanship. They've not had the greatest of races there. A good number of laps down. They ended up spending a lot of time in the pits for that one. So, well done. Evidently a car. I saw that car. I was trying to see which one it was, limping across the line. And those two have now finished. And that is the McLaren just finishing everybody off. So, well done there to everybody indeed for doing that one. And I'm just going to say a massive thank you to the 19 BMW for pushing the Porsche across the line there. Very well done indeed. Awesome. Thank you everybody for racing. Tonight, if I can remember how to do this. That. Yeah, feel free to jump into the waiting room, and if anybody wants to come and have a chat, I will drag you in and we can have a chat. So yeah, massive well done to everybody that took part tonight. We'll give it a couple of minutes. I'm just going to poke some stuff on... There we go. Poke some stuff on YouTube, on OBS, and make things happen. Yeah, give us a few... We'll give things a couple of minutes and see if anybody does join in. Nobody so far. Be interesting to see how that rain right at the end for everybody was there. So yeah, we'll give that another little moment or so in case anybody wants to come and join in. But yeah, no, really well done. Glad to see that you raced. Glad to have had you on stream with us, and we shall hopefully see you in further races to come. Do check out our why has my brain just failed for a second? Do check out our sim grid for further events that we have coming up. We do have some events on both ACC and also some events on AC as well. Those that do want to race there, we have a few events on there to do that. We've got a few little Christmas events coming up. I think there's still spaces on the World Tour series for next week. There is World Tour. Yes, that starts World Tour Season 4. Where's that one? Oh no, that one has closed, sorry. World Tour Season 5 starts on December the 13th. There is plenty of spots there. We have a Christmas Rush. That one starts on the 2nd of December. And we'll be going to 3 circuits in December. What have we got there? We have Bathurst, Brands Hatch, and Laguna. So, yeah, that's going to be a fun series to take part in if you're interested in any of that. There is Merry Togmas on the 21st of December. That will be another one that we've got coming up. That is at Watkins. Hopefully, that won't be another Watkins Glen like we had at the end of the endurance series. So get yourselves registered for that one. Other events that we have coming up. Oh, when my computer catches up. Moving into next year, there is the 12 Hours of Brands Hatch is a charity event that we are running. It is a joint event between ourselves here at TOGA, Simhaven Racing Leagues, and Odyssey Motorsport. So do go check that one out. It is all in Odyssey Racing, sorry. It is all in aid of mind, mental health. There is links, etc. Mind, Stack Up, who are a war veterans, and Doctors Without Borders are the three charities we are raising money for. So do feel free to join in with that one. There are interesting situations. You can buy penalties for other teams. As long as you donate to them, there will be a teams and viewers will be able to choose a car and donate accordingly, and that will be anybody that saw our race last year will know how much chaos, carnage, and hilarity that ensued with that race. So it's all for an amazing set of causes, and it is it's all for an amazing set of causes, and it will be lovely to see everybody both on stream and here racing. So that's going to be a good one coming up. That is on the 25th of January. We still have spaces for our British Touring Car Series that's being run over on AC on Sunday night. So do go and check that one out. That is happening tomorrow. There will be I believe there is a stream for that one this week. That is 4 weeks. So we've got 3 rounds left going to Brands Hatch, Alton, and Silverstone. It is the national layout, Brands Hatch Indy and Alton International for those. So do go check those out if you like a bit of door banging and British touring car action. And I think that since there is nobody here in the interview waiting room, that is probably going to be it from myself tonight. Thank you all, everybody, very much for watching. Do like, subscribe, our comments, etc. Lovely to hear from anybody on all of this, and we shall see you for another event here on TOGA. So thank you and a good night.